Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Wednesday and with big breaking injury news today. Although by the time you watch this, it might not be breaking. You'll probably know all about it, but it is big news from coming out of Arsenal today, and that is that Granit Xhaka is out for approximately 3 months with that injury picked up against Spurs at the weekend. Real blow for him, real blow for Arsenal. Big blow for Arteta, because I know plenty of you don't rate Xhaka, don't think he should be in the starting 11, but Mikel Arteta certainly does, so he will be devastated by the news today. I'll read the statement, if you haven't seen it, that Arsenal have released. This is what it says. It says, further to injuring his right knee during Sunday's match against Tottenham, assessments and scans have confirmed that Granit Xhaka suffered a significant injury to his medial knee ligament. A specialist consultation took place in London on Tuesday evening, which has determined that Granit does not require surgery. Granit's recovery and rehabilitation program will start immediately, and we are aiming for him to be back in action in approximately 3 months. Everyone at the club will now be supporting and working hard with Granit to get him back on the pitch as soon as possible. So 3 months, basically you are looking at, it's very likely that Granit Xhaka won't play again this year. We're in the start of October pretty much now, so you've got October, November, December, so you're possibly looking at 2022 until Granit Xhaka comes back, and I think that's about 18 league games by that point, so basically half the season Xhaka could well be out for. Now, if it does extend to that full 3 months, you never know, and Xhaka's the type of character as well who will do everything so professionally during his time off that I wouldn't put it past Xhaka coming back ahead of schedule and getting back before the 3 months periods that Arsenal have put on it. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. But it's still a significant blow for him, significant blow for Arsenal. And like I said, Mikel Arteta, will be very interesting to see what Arteta does now going forward. Obviously, there are other midfielders in the similar vein, you would say, to Xhaka in the squad. You got Albert Lokonga, obviously you got Mohamed Elneny and Ainsley Maitland-Niles still there. For Sambi, you think it's a big opportunity for him. He's come in, he's looked impressive since he arrived in the summer from Belgium. But he was always kind of coming in to learn his trade a little bit and be used in and out sparingly this season. You know, Xhaka and Partey was very much Arteta's key partnership in central midfield. So now it'll be interesting to see if Sambi gets a prolonged spell next to Partey in that sort of double pivot role that him and Xhaka usually operate in. Will that happen, or will Mikel decide to go more with a 4-3-3 that we've seen him play recently before Xhaka came back from his suspension? You know, potentially having Partey on his own and then Smith Rowe and Odegaard ahead of him in that sort of central trio, and then you can bring in Pepe and have an extra wide man there. So big option, big decisions for Mikel to make going forward. It probably depend on the opposition, I suppose, but it is a big blow. I know, like I said, that plenty of people don't feel like Xhaka should be in the starting 11 right now, and I don't absolutely disagree with that. Like I said, I didn't really think he should come back into the starting 11 against Spurs after what happened against Manchester City. But you have to hold your hands up and say, look, he put in a very good performance against Tottenham, was heavily influential in the first 2 goals, and that's why Mikel Arteta really likes him, because he knows what he's going to get from Granit Xhaka most of the time. Yes, you have those mad moments like we saw at the Etihad when he got him sent off, but other than that, you go back to last season, he was one of Arsenal's most consistent performers throughout last season. He was very good last year, and he was very good against Tottenham, just as he was in the Euros for Switzerland. So that's why Arteta still relies on him. That's why Arteta was more than happy to keep him at the club this summer, even when it looked like he could possibly be heading off to Roma. And now it will be interesting to see what Mikel does in his absence. Typical Arsenal, isn't it? They finally get everyone fit and available, and then the very next game you get a real significant injury to one of your senior established players. It was such a freak injury as well. Always are. These bad ones always seem to come from these freak little moments. Not like a out-and-out bad tackle or anything like that, just a freak moment where Lucas Moura falls into him after Thomas Partey had fouled Lucas Moura, and Moura just falls into Xhaka, who wasn't really looking, didn't have time to protect himself, and bang, his knee ligament gets injured like that. So real blow for Arsenal. Big injury news. We'll be speaking to Mikel tomorrow, where I'm sure we'll go into it a little bit more about what he plans to do in Xhaka's absence and that sort of thing. And I'm sure he'll certainly speak about his disappointment in losing the midfielder for 3 months. So that's the big news out of Arsenal today. No Granit Xhaka for approximately 3 months. Just a couple of other things I wanted to really touch on today's video. I don't know if you've saw my tweet last night, but if you've seen some pictures of David Seaman doing the rounds back at London Colney, there was a picture of him, a few pictures of him with Aaron Ramsdale at London Colney, Seaman in Arsenal training gear. And I was getting some questions yesterday, what's going on with that? And the answer to that is that David Seaman has been invited back into the club by Per Mertesacker to work with, and on an informal basis, not week in, week out or anything like that, or day in, day out, on an informal basis with some of the club's under 23 goalkeepers and their scholars as well. So he's not doing it with the first team as far as I'm aware. Obviously the pictures were him with Aaron Ramsdale yesterday, but that doesn't mean that he was joining in with the training with Ramsdale or the coaching of Ramsdale. But more, he's working with some of the under-23s keepers and the scholars as well, which is great to see. Look, Arsenal legend, goalkeeper, you can't have much more goalkeeping experience and knowledge than David Seaman. So it's great to see him in, and good stuff from Per Mertesacker again. You just love what Per Mertesacker's doing at Arsenal, and yeah, he's a great guy to be in charge of the academy. He really, really is, and it's good to see David Seaman back. Like I said, what a legend, and what better keeper or former keeper to have guiding you and coaching you and giving you advice as a young goalkeeper than David Seaman. So that's really good news. Also, I just wanted to talk about the Player of the Month award for Arsenal for September. Arsenal put it out on their website yesterday, the 4 nominees for the club's Player of the Month award. And they've gone with Tomiyasu, Ramsdale, Auba and Emil Smith-Rowe. I put the tweet out yesterday about it, and it absolutely exploded. So many of you coming back and giving me your thoughts on who you would pick and why. So I just wanted to talk about it a little bit, really, because clearly there's a lot of interest in it this month, because it's been such a good month. Do you think if Arsenal beat Brighton on Saturday, you imagine Mikel Arteta is probably going to end up getting named manager of the month this month, which is pretty remarkable when you consider where Arsenal were at the start of it. But yeah, my choice, I have to say, my choice for Player of the Month is a split. I'm ruling Aubameyang and Smith-Rowe out of this. I think they've done, well. I think Smith-Rowe's done well. Aubameyang obviously scored the winner against Norwich and scored against Tottenham as well. But I'm not having him in my Player of the Month. It's definitely between Ramsdale and Tomiyasu for me. Both been brilliant. Both come in and just, absolutely helped Arsenal transform things this month. Both been solid. Not really any mistakes. But I'm giving mine. My vote will go to Tomiyasu. I have to say, I think Ramsdale's been great. Don't get me wrong. But I just think the way Tomiyasu's come in and adjusted to the league, hit the ground running. Ramsdale's been here a few years. He's played in England for a few years, in the Premier League for a couple of years. He knows what it's about. And so he didn't have to adjust in terms of the actual game. But Tomiyasu, to come from another country, not even meet his teammates until about a day before his debut, and just settle in the way he has done, he's just been an absolute revelation. In all 3 games, he's been great. He's not even been dribbled past yet in 3 games by a single opponent. I think he's won 16 out of his 18 aerial duels. I think his success rate in overall duels is well into the 70%. He's just been absolutely brilliant. So for me, Tomiyasu gets my vote on Player of the Month. But please, if you disagree or you agree, let me know who you would go for out of those 4 nominees that Arsenal have put up for the Player of the Month award. Tomiyasu, Ramsdale, Smith-Rowe, Aubameyang. Let me know in those comments below. Love to go through and see who you would go for and why. And finally, just wanted to talk about Matteo Guendouzi. There's a few reports going around at the moment coming out of France, being in the French press, of Guendouzi having a bit of a difficult time after that fantastic start. It seems like he's had a bit of a row, I think, with a teammate. It was in their last game. I think it was Gerson, who I think Marseille conceded a goal, and Guendouzi sort of legged it up to Gerson and had a go at him for not tracking back or something. I think apparently what the reports in France say, he used the quotes, "Are you ever going to run?" or something like that. And Gerson had to go back. I think teammates had to kind of move them away from each other on the pitch, and I think it potentially continued into the dressing room, according to reports. These are, of course, from France. So it seems like he's just, after that good start, he's having a bit of a difficult spell, shall we say. And Marseille's results have dropped off a little bit. I think they've only won 1 of the last 4. And yeah, it's interesting, Guendouzi. It's going to be a really intriguing season with him. We know what he's like. We know he's a very good player. We know he starts like Arsenal. He started well, and then it sort of dipped off a little bit. And it'll be intriguing to see how he gets on at France, if he can continue the level throughout the season, if he can avoid the things that the reports are now saying in France are beginning to come out, and that's the issue with Guendouzi, isn't it? It's sort of getting your head down and just playing football for a season, rather than getting involved in anything and ended up in any sort of disciplinary issues. So hopefully he can sort of put this one to bed, get back involved with Marseille, get back to form and have a good season, because I want him to have a good season. I really like Matteo Guendouzi. I have to say, I think it's a real shame what's happened to him at Arsenal. We don't know the exact ins and outs of why it broke down so spectacularly with Mikel. Obviously, there was the incident at Brighton, but that wasn't the whole thing. There's no way what happened at Brighton is going to lead to you getting put out of the club. It was definitely more a case of what's gone on before that with the disciplinary issues he had when he was over in Dubai, and then when he came back after the Brighton thing, when he came back and into the training ground, wouldn't sort of apologise for his actions and the way he sort of handled himself after that. Though it's those sort of reasons why it all broke down so spectacularly, I think, at Arsenal, rather than the actual incident at Brighton itself. And I just hope he avoids that again at Marseille, because he's a really good player and he just needs to get his head switched on and just focus at football. It's not going to happen at Arsenal now. I think that's pretty much clear. Marseille do have the option to turn that move, make it an obligation in the summer, but it pretty much is going to be an obligation in the summer. I think the way that the deal's been put together, it's very, very likely that will be done, and he will become a permanent player in France, and hopefully he can put what's gone on in the last week or so behind him and have a really good season in France, because I want to see Guendouzi doing well, because I do like him. I think there's a very good player there. Anyway, that's it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. Like I said, Arteta's press, I think it's tomorrow. I'm pretty sure it's tomorrow. I should have looked at the email before I did this video. I'm sure it is tomorrow, ahead of the Brighton game, so watch out for that, and I'll try and do a video afterwards to talk through some of the big points that have come from the presser. Until then, everyone, have a very good day. I'll speak to you soon.